Good afternoon. Who likes having their questions answered? Who likes to feel as if there is some sort of sense or meaning to the universe? Who would like the music to come down slightly? We're all on the same page. Please welcome to the stage the host, and actually one of only two people in Yes, How Can I Help, is me, Mark Watson. Good afternoon and welcome to the first ever live edition of my YouTube series, Yes, How Can I Help? The response suggests that very few people here have ever seen the series. That is perfectly understandable. The YouTube series, Yes, How Can I Help? I will put it into context for you. It's been going for a little over a year now, 30 odd episodes. There's not been one for a while, though, because of the preparations, extensive preparations for this live edition. Also some other problems. Mostly the other problems, actually. Well, not exactly problems, we're very busy, impatient, but here we are for the first time live doing Yes, How Can I Help? The premise of the show is simple. I'll say a little bit about the success of the YouTube series. First of all, we began with just a few thousand viewers per episode, and we've still got them. So the statistics speak for themselves, I think. The most amazing statistic, I think, is just over 1 billion people are in China, and very, very few of them have ever seen it. So that's the market we're sort of looking to get into here, and for that reason, most of this show will be in Mandarin, some Cantonese, but there'll always be subtitles on it, so you can watch it back in English. The premise of these series is, it's sort of stretching a point to call it a premise, really. The hook is every week I ask, or sometimes every fortnight, or sometimes not for fucking ages. Basically, when Alex, the cameraman, is not busy doing other things, I ask the internet for questions. The questions sometimes are on free choice of subjects. Sometimes I prescribe the themes, and I answer them. Normally, the episodes are just 15 minutes long, and we do them walking around the streets of, well, normally South London. Alex filming me precariously walking backwards, quite often colliding with people. There was a cracking collision during the Fringe, but we will get onto that. And you can see Alex, by the way, scuttling at the back here, doing what he does, walking backwards and poking his camera intrusively in the faces of innocent people. If you like watching someone be harassed with a camera, then Alex is very much your man. These are all newcomers. Welcome the newcomers, please. Thank you. A lot of comedians make people feel bad for coming late, but this is a sort of inclusive show. Which of us hasn't been late? There are actually quite a lot of them. Quite a lot of these careless folk to whom time is nothing, to whom comedians are just hired playthings. Anyway, welcome. I was just explaining the premise of the show. This is a live version of a now quite well-established YouTube series. It is the biggest, most watched show on YouTube. Alex and I make a staggering £2 million per episode, which is why the ticket price is in the thousands here. Otherwise, it's barely worth going out of bed for. Today, the questions they'll appear in a number of formats. This is by far the most ambitious ever episode of Yes, How Can I Help? And I'd go so far as to say the most ambitious thing ever done at the Fringe or anywhere. Of course, it's impossible to be scientific about these things, but this is certainly, I'm going to say, the best. This will be one of the best things that have ever been done. The number of ways that the questions can manifest themselves today is bewildering. Well, it's four. Firstly, I have a question bucket here. There's no other phrase for it. A question bucket. You, the audience, were invited to put questions in this bucket by a number of small children that I forced to do it. It's going to look odd on YouTube, actually. Children all related to me, either by birth or, in some way. Don't worry about it. Very important to be selective with what clips you put on YouTube. But, This is going out in its entirety, though, but I don't think we'll use as a trailer the bit where I lay claim to an unspecified number of children. It's three, 2 plus 1 stepchild. Anyway, but sometimes you hear about evil step-parents. I'm not one of those. I'm more sort of a weird, mysterious one. The most popular kind of step-parent. This is as I said, question bucket. There are, well, at a brief glance, in excess of 1,000 questions in there. It was a brief glance, so I can't be certain. But on top of that, I put out. Sorry. It's a clattery old question bucket, that. I will say that for it. It's your classic clattery question bucket, your CQB. You'll pick up the jargon if you don't know. I just picked that up, for example. Yes, I've also... better crack on, actually. I've also asked members of the public, those creeps, the public. I've asked them for questions this morning. They, unlike you, were given a choice of 5 topics for the questions, and the topics were as follows: poetry, stroke neglected art forms, ideas, quite a big one that, fruit, healthy living, etc. Etc. Obviously, just so anything else. Clothes and other matters. So again, it's fair to say a wide range of questions. So I'll be taking questions from you, the audience, via the clattery question bucket. I will be dipping into the questions supplied by the public on the what we call the internet. But also there are 2 other question formats, which is anyone in the room can pose a question live by, I suppose, putting your hand up, and if I ignore you for a bit, shouting question. And then if you've had it up for several minutes and still no dice, shout fucking question. And on top of all this, sometimes, and this has of course never happened in the history of Yes, How Can I Help, because it would not be possible in the regular format, but sometimes, for the first time, I will be asking you, the audience. Yeah, I think that's, it very much is a case of, ooh. Ooh is the least of it, dare I say. So we're going to kick off, in fact, with a question from me to you. No one saw this coming, and the internet will be absolutely heaving with comments about this. My first question to you, the audience, who here, how do I frame this question? Who here reckons they've seen the biggest thing? But it can't just be the sky, or the biggest. Who here reckons they've seen the biggest object? In the flesh. It can't just be you've seen it, Jupiter or something on a film. Well, yes, you don't get that in films very often. It's extremely hard to get cameras up there, and it seems a waste to do that with them. I'll begin the bidding. I've seen like a bridge. So it would need to be bigger than a bridge for starters. Anyone?
Volcano.
You've seen the volcano?
Yeah.
I see. Which one?
Tornado.
Really?
In New Zealand.
In New Zealand? Yeah, that's a volcano is big. Fair play. It was presumably behaving, not getting all volcano-y. Yeah, you've got to be ever so careful. Don't go to another volcano. It was stupid of you to go to a volcano. Did you learn anything in Latin? At my school we did Latin and we learned all about Pompeii, and those guys, I tell you what, got absolutely splattered. Well, that's putting it mildly. They weren't just messy, they were largely dead, and famously one of them was died masturbating. Anyway, I say famously, you can certainly Google it. Just reminded myself that all my children are here. And stepchildren. Anyone seen anything bigger than a volcano? It's good, but it's beatable, I think. Yes?
I've seen the Alps.
You've seen the Alps?
Yeah.
All of them? How many Alps did you see?
Not much.
You didn't see much of the Alps, actually. You're backtracking from your Alp claim very quickly, if I may say so. This is it's becoming one of the smallest Alp boasts I've ever heard. Next you'll be saying it wasn't the Alps at all. It's just a salt shaker. But you've seen at least one Alp, presumably.
Yeah.
I see. Is an Alp big? As soon as you start saying Alp, it doesn't sound like it at all, does it? Is an Alp bigger than a volcano, I wonder? Depends. Difficult to know, isn't it? Do you reckon? Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, anything bigger than an Alp and a volcano, and then I'll move on to answering some of your questions.
Ayers Rock.
Ayers Rock, or Uluru as we call it now for political reasons. That covers it. Yeah, that's a big bastard, isn't it? Not to be culturally insensitive. Anything bigger than that? I don't know if things do get bigger, but that woman's got her hand up.
The Cayman Trench.
The Cayman Trench? That's a hell of a trench, I believe. Oh, it's deep. How did you see that?
Scuba diving?
You scuba dive to the Cayman Trench?
Yeah, well, to a certain depth.
I was going to say, yeah, you're not coming back from that. You scuba dived to such a depth that you could view the Cayman Trench. Good heavens, I've never heard of anyone doing that, so I don't think you have. A thing that happens outside my particular lived experience cannot be. That's why I'm happy to say I'm not going to die. We go for the first. I think we'll start with a couple of audience questions. There are more than 100 of these, so I'm going to. This is going to be a very disappointing answer, but it'll just get you warmed up. Hypothetically, if someone was looking to buy a nice burgundy jumper with the word home on it, where would one look? This is quite a pointed question because I have a jumper like that, which I have worn once or twice on screen, and not just this question, but a number of people covet the jumper. About once every 3 months, someone asks, where did you get that jumper? And the honest answer is, I got it in Toronto, in Canada. It is a chain of stores there, but it's not possible. They don't deliver overseas, so you have to go to Toronto. You'd have to go to Toronto even to have a glimmer of a chance of getting a jumper, like my home jumper. But also, I'm very proud of my jumper and protective of my branding, so I've instructed the shop not to sell anymore. I've also issued a winding up order to the company, so you'll never have my jumper. One day, of course, I might sell my home jumper. But it's unlikely that the fringe has been going well. There are acts wandering around who are at the selling their clothes stage, but I'm lucky not to be in that bracket. What is the maximum size of octopus that you'd be capable of defeating in hand-to-tentacle combat? Well, I think any question that credits me with the ability to overpower any sort of beast is doing me a considerable service. If we think about a decent size, look at what you picture an octopus. Everyone please picture an octopus, unless you have what's it called? Aphantasia, where you can't picture things. But I don't know. Surely you can still do an octopus. I know aphantasia is a real thing, but like, come on, an octopus. Just all wibbly wobbly with your 8 legs there. It's a piece of piss. How are you not imagining an octopus? What's in your head then? Just nothing? Come on, an octopus? I'm roasting non-existent neurodiverse people, but here we are. I mean, I don't mean the phenomenon is non-existent, I just mean no one here has even said they have aphantasia. I've just turned on the idea. Oh, no, the idea is perfectly fine. It's just, as I say, we can all picture an octopus, and we're all doing that now. Normal size octopus, absolutely no way I'm beating it. Baby octopus, you'd still back the octopus. The fucker's he's got 8 of these. Tiny little octopus.
Are you in water?
Excuse me? That's Alex, everybody. Chipping in impertinently as per. Yeah, good question. If it's on land, suddenly advantage Watson. You do feel, choice of venue is enormously important for this duel, you have to say. But it's unlikely. Well, actually, this is in football terms. This would be a very interesting 2-legged match. Huge home advantage in both legs. I think it's unlikely an octopus would consent to do battle on land with me. I think, but then very hard to get this sort of consent regardless. And that's if I agree to the bout, which we've not exactly got it over the line yet. A number of very obvious dangers and difficulties. I think. If you imagine, and we can all do it, if you imagine an octopus about the size of this bucket, I think I'd win, but even then, if it's got 8 of its little blonkers coming out all over me, and also, if an octopus is small enough, your heart wouldn't be in hurting it. This is the problem. This is the problem with it. I'll say it, this is the problem with hurting animals. If they're really big, it's too hard. If they're really small, they're too cute. So there you go. We must reluctantly conclude that there will be no fight between me and an octopus in the immediate future. But we can at least all picture one. Okay. It's time for the first of our bucket questions. Bucket questions have nothing to do with the phrase bucket list, which is a tiresomely over-invoked way of asking what do you want to do with your life. What are the winning Euro Millions numbers? For Tuesday, I want a pool. This should be fairly easy to clear up. Of course, this is being recorded, and there's just a tiny chance that I'll get it right. And it is only a tiny chance, but imagine what it would feel like if I didn't then enter the lottery. I've never played the Euro Millions in my life, but whatever numbers I name here, I'm going to have to buy a ticket. It'd be very, very disappointing, and I think everybody should as well, except then we'll all split the fucking... Yeah, so we can't have that. Is this your question?
Yeah.
I see. So you don't want anyone else to hear these numbers, presumably?
Well, you and I can split it.
Yeah, but not with all these people. I said, it won't matter by the time this goes on YouTube because the deadline, the draw will have been done. Okay, so I'll whisper you the final one.
All right.
Is it 6 numbers like the regular lottery? I don't even know how many numbers we need.
I don't know.
Well, come on, man. Starting to see why you've not won the lottery yet. You're not allowed to just guess all of the numbers. Someone here will know how many numbers you pick in the real lottery, the national lottery, or whatever you call it now. The lotto is 6, isn't it? Does anyone know how many numbers there are in the Euro Millions? There is not one gambler here, but we do have people with Google at least. Charlie will do the work, yes. I will quickly have a look at another question. How can I make a cup of tea without access to boiling water? It depends how long you're prepared to wait for the tea. All water is potentially boiling water if we wait for the heat death of the universe. So I would advise
5 and 2.
5 and 5
numbers and 2 lucky stars.
5 numbers and 2 lucky stars. No one ever wins this fucker. What are the lucky stars? So, back you go. We can't be a half-job Bob about it, mate. It's not your fault. It can't be anything to do with Madonna's song Lucky Star, surely. Easy to forget Lucky Star because of the remarkable canon of Madonna's work, and especially the run of mostly number ones that followed Lucky Star essentially blew it out of the water. Once you start thinking about the Immaculate Collection, you don't really pay much attention to Lucky Star. But it was a chirpy little number in its own right. It's just once you've heard Borderline, you don't need Lucky Star. Once you've heard Holiday, arguably, you... On the scale of what we're still doing, but don't worry, we're coming back to the lottery. You are going to have a very nice pool soon. And twist, I'm going to be in it. Not all the time, but I'm pretty pissed off if I don't get it. If I win you a pool. This is a sad question, everybody. Sad question. Great stuff. On a scale of, it's a shame there is sadness, but that was good acknowledgement of sadness. Good AOS. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much misery is acceptable for the Fringe? I mean, first of all, let us remind ourselves the Fringe is meant to be fun, but a lot of people do find it a bit of a strain, either financially or emotionally, or problemos in the head. I'm not a trained counsellor. Charlie's still trying to find it. We'll do at least the 5 numbers, but it's going to be nothing without the lucky stars. Well, how much misery is acceptable? So I suppose I'm going to ask who asked this question, but you may wish to remain anonymous, and you may indeed have been so crushed. Oh, it's you. Hello. Oh, you're the one that asked about the jumper as well, so I won't invite you to choose. You are.
Yeah, I feel great.
Well, so where 1 is abject misery and 10 is I actually feel great. Well, I suppose I'm going to say that any amount of misery is acceptable because, after all, one shouldn't police one's... I'm certainly not going to police your feelings. That said, fucking pull your socks up a bit. The Fringe is fun. We're having jokes. But that said, feel your feelings. But also, come on, man. So if we take the average of all this, I think it's fine to feel... some days are very bad as well in life. Some days, things you're just not feeling it. 3 to 4 out of 10, you shouldn't be alarmed, I think. If you feel 1 to 2 out of 10, not just at the Fringe, but anywhere, you should talk to someone. In fact, anytime you feel any sort of sadness, you should talk to someone. Am I right, guys? Yeah. Can I get a talk to someone over here? Talk to someone. Very pleased with this. I'm hoping this launches me onto the American chat show circuit. You don't know that, well, they'll be watching. We know the Americans are watching. One of these questions already was from America. Do we know about lucky stars yet, Charlie?
So lucky stars are 1 to 12.
Lucky stars are 1 to 12, and the remaining 5 numbers
Are 1 to 50.
are 1 to 50, I see. So a lucky star could be Okay, so for the avoidance of, I'm going to choose 2 numbers in the 1 to 12 bracket. Those will be your lucky stars, Sarah. And then 5 numbers from the remainder, 13 to 50. I think that's the...
12 for the other numbers as well.
Yeah, but I'm not going to. I have settled upon my strategy. I'm pleased to announce then, Sarah, and yes, she's noting them down. We're going to win this damn thing. Oh boy, how much? It's loads, isn't it? Way more than our lottery.
I mean, the last time I looked, it was like 200 million.
Yeah, that would be well. You get a pool for that, I reckon. Yeah, you could buy the Commonwealth pool here in Edinburgh for that. You wouldn't want to, because you'd have to come up to Edinburgh to swim. Makes no sense. Cancel that.
If I had 200 million, I could live here.
Yeah, I suppose. And in fact, that is about what you need to live here now. If you win even 100 million, you can stay up here for the whole month. Yeah. Sorry, if you're watching on YouTube and you're one of these people that live in Edinburgh but then deliberately price gouge for the whole month of August while clearing out of the city, please stop doing this now. We're all ever so poor. Okay, Sarah, 6.
All right.
You'll forgive me for considering, but these are big. Like, this is life-changing. Well, in a way, the opposite of 6, 9. And then 5 numbers we said from 13 to 50, didn't we?
Yeah.
Obviously 13, my birthday.
Yeah.
Obviously 14, the day after my birthday. Why stop there? Obviously 15. The day after my birthday. You're probably thinking statistically it's very unlikely it'd be 3 in a row, but it's not, is it? They're all equally likely. And then the final 2, of course, we will whisper to Sarah to prevent any of you from getting your nasty little hands on the money. And it's a question of, and you might be thinking I'm going 16 and 17 now for lols, but I'm not in this for comedy anymore. I'm in this to make a Canadian a significant amount of money. Which, by the way, translated into Canadian dollars is, no one can do the maths.
Okay.
There we go. And those are the Euro Millions winning numbers. Yeah. And what I whispered was 34 and 50. But that might be a lie, of course. Well, we're going to go back to the... that was a live question, wasn't it? So we'll go back to the phone. Most of these came via the website Blue Sky. Why, in spite of a continual cycle of progress, with specific cases being replaced by new examples, has humanity not moved beyond the inherent fear of the other? They're not all easy. Very quickly, Mickey, othering is, unfortunately, an impulse that we all have, probably from the time when we were cavemen, and anything that we saw that was other was likely to kill us. These days, something that is other than you, for example, in my case, a girl, or in all of our cases, a panda, or even, in probably all of our cases, a person from Gibraltar. Anyone from Gibraltar? I'd be so surprised. Right, so those are all examples of things that are other: a girl, a panda, and a Gibraltarian. But none of those represents a threat to us, although, Lord knows, a girl can be a threat to our hearts. Also, some of us are girls. Panda's a better example. And actually, a panda probably can kill you, so yeah, that's why, Mickey, is because everything's terrifying. But yeah, panda's very unlikely to kill you. You very few, dare I ask, I'd be amazed, but it's not impossible. Is there a single person here who has ever come into close proximity, like has been really close to a panda? There are not many pandas. I know there used to be 2 in Edinburgh, but you still weren't close to them. There is a panda sanctuary you can go to in China. I saw an Instagram, like an influencer, that had done it. She paid $1,000 American for 1 minute, 60 seconds with this panda. She said it was the best moment of her life. Obviously, she had to say that. Quick, eggs or spinach? Spinach. There's a couple of interesting ones. In fact, there's loads of interesting ones here. I think, right, I'm going to save that one because I think that would be fun in a minute. Where do you have your best ideas? I always say I have mine when I'm in the bath, but that could be because I like having a bath. I also used to quite often have ideas in the bath, but I reckon I've bathed slightly less frequently. I'm showering, don't worry. But over the past 6 months to a year, I've had slightly fewer baths for a reason which is bizarre to relate. But basically, the bath in our house the principal bath used to be on the ground floor, and I'd often come home from a run and pop straight in the bath. But now there's a much nicer bath in the loft extension, but it's quite a long way to the bath. And I don't see myself as a lazy person, but if it's a case of out of sign. It's a case of out of sign. I can't finish the sentence. You don't always finish sentences. The sooner we all get that into our skulls, the better. I don't know if I sound more like Tim Key as time goes on, or if it's possibly it's him sounding more like me. But actually, I think the answer is we've always both sounded like each other. I have limited upper body strength. How would you recommend I go about getting, I think this is the right word, hench? Well, a lot of people do weights, don't they? But I don't know that, and of course that can translate to henchness. Let's not forget, only a couple of years ago, in this venue, Jessica Foster-Cute delivered herself an excellent fringe show called Hench, which was about her remarkable success in getting muscly by lifting weights. But the trouble is, I don't think that most of the weights you see at the gym, well, they're not real life situations, are they? It's quite an artificial form of strength, strongness that you develop just by doing weights. So I think if you want to get true strength, you should carry a table everywhere, Chris. Everywhere. This again is a personally tailored question, which a differently adjusted, less well-adjusted person than me might take offence to. Should people wear belts that fit them? Rather than one that goes too long, or nah? Well, listen, I get this quite a bit. There is a phenomenon known as a dick belt, where, known, I should say, by me, but I'm working as hard as I can to popularise the phrase, where the belt swings down here and there's not a lot you can do about it. Of course, there are things you can do about it. There are more buckles I could be tucking into, but it is true. Ultimately, this belt, yep, flies undone, by the way. I ordered these jeans online, and it's a button fly rather than a zip. I just haven't got time for that. Look, should people wear belts that are too long? Should people wear belts that are too short? Should people wear belts at all? Quite honestly, it's been now several years of people talking about my belts in less than flattering, sometimes openly sexualising terms. I'm not a piece of meat. I'm a man with a belt on. Until now. There we go, it's on. Yeah. I feel like a woman burning her bra in olden times. Or a panda, or a person from Gibraltar. So that's my answer, Louis, if that is your, well, it is your name. It's certainly a name on the internet. Should people wear belts that are too long? I'll answer your question with an answer. No, people should not wear belts at all. I have removed my belt. I would encourage all of you to remove. You don't have to remove them now, but at some point today, I would like everyone that's wearing a belt to just feel what it's like to take it off. Now, I don't mean at the end of the day. Anyone can take anything off at the end of the day, and a lot of us do. I'll tell you that. I've seen other people do it. I want everyone here with a belt on to remove it at some point before you go to bed, and I'd like you to send me some sort of proof. Thank you. And if you're watching on YouTube, and of course there'll be an opportunity to put comments at the bottom and everything like that, I'd also like to see your proof of beltlessness. I've had my belt off for a couple of minutes now, and I feel fantastic. Now, as I've said, one of the features of the show normally is that they are conducted in a perambulatory fashion, and I just about got through that, with Alex Preston filming me. So he's the sort of hidden other character in Yes, How Can I Help? This has been the most static episode ever, but it would be kind of against the spirit of Yes, How Can I Help not to walk around a little bit. So I'm going to ask Alex to just film the next bit, walking backwards in his inimitable style. Some of you have never even seen this man in the flesh. Please welcome the invisible face of Yes, How Can I Help, Alex Preston. Okay, so Alex is going to just follow me around filming me, but we're going to confine ourselves to the stage. It's true. It's not.
It's a bit shaky.
No one's ever said this is the UK's least wobbly stage. And if they have said that, they're way off. Audience question. What are all the Tellytubbies doing now?
Come on.
Sorry, yep. Who have we got? Tinky Winky, La La, Dipsy, Poe. Okay, Poe, stockbroker. Tinky Winky, problems, heroin. Don't blame me, blame the permissive culture of the 90s. La La, tour guide, but quite specific. It's like tours about birds and that. What's the one I can never remember? Which bit? Dipsy. Keep going, let's move. Dipsy's unaccounted. Dipsy's one of these people that went to Thailand and like claimed they were going to become a yoga instructor, but it was a sort of paper thin. They all did a write off the money they made as Teletubbies, of course. People don't realise there were an awful lot of episodes. Look at him, he just can't stop filming stuff. The guy just loves filming stuff. We'll take another audience question.
What about the Sun Baby?
Oh God, I forgot that monstrosity. Some baby's dead. Someone had to tell you. And so is Terence Stamp, R.I.P. Terence Stamp, who died yesterday. It's true. I'm sorry if you. That's not a joke. He's dead. It's sad. I mean, he was old, but I mean, still, death's bad, isn't it? Well, it's true. When someone. When is there ever an episode where I've not brought death up? It's a shame. I think that. Oh, I don't know. When someone dies and then someone says, "Oh, it's 87. What a great innings," and it was. But then you think of how many years there were before and how many years there will be. 87 is not great. 15,000 years would be a decent innings. Even then, you'd never run out of things to do. Why do fools fall in love? It's because all of us require love. It is as primal as our need for water. Carry on. But that wouldn't scan in the song. And we'll just keep moving, please, Alex. Keep moving.
Sorry.
How do I choose the best watermelon in a supermarket? Pick all of the... Oh, that's nearly hooked that on me. Pick all of the available watermelons off the shelves. Ask a random person in the supermarket to hold a watermelon each, and then go with the watermelon held by the most attractive person. It takes a little bit of time and setup, obviously, and that's why you should never hurry when you're shopping for watermelons. If you're ever thinking, oh, I've got 10 minutes spare, I'll just pop in for a watermelon, absolute stupidity. We'll take one more audience one. I think, Alex, just keep moving if you wouldn't mind.
Jesus, I feel like I'm on a boat.
Boat! Normally we have transport things. That's very difficult, too difficult. Well, not too difficult, of course I know. In case you haven't been watching on YouTube, the reason I know everything, which has been aptly demonstrated, I think, or amply is what I was after, is that as a response to AI, as a response to all of this sort of disturbing new technologies which threaten human intelligence and cognition and thought, I went to a library and read every book ever published. There is an episode you can find on the internet where I've just finished doing that, so I know now all of the I'm encumbered with all of the knowledge in the world. So there are no questions I cannot answer, but I have to be selective, of course, for entertainment reasons, and because some questions take longer than others. How big would a slug in your house have to be before you called the police? Well, it's hard, isn't it? Because instinctively this doesn't feel like a police matter. So again, as with the octopus, we can all picture a slug. We're all picturing a slug, please. So first of all, normal sized slug. There's no way I'm getting the cops involved. I don't think they'd even come out. Imagine the slug, the size of Sarah here, the lottery winner. I'm surprised, but I still don't think it's 999. But if
You're telling me you saw a person-sized slug and you went, well, I'll deal with it.
No, I'm not saying I would deal with it, Alex. But I also don't think it falls into the police's jurisdiction. I think someone between me and the police should deal with this.
If you see a human-sized person, who are you calling?
If I see a human-sized slug, who am I calling?
Yeah.
Well,
human-sized person.
Ghostbusters? Yeah, quite often the answers to questions in that format, aren't they? Right. Actually, only on one occasion, but it was repeated a lot in the song. I mean, that is something strange in your neighbourhood, to be fair. Just for the kids, that was funny. Also, don't worry about the Teletubby stuff. You were lucky to avoid that. No, look, I'm not. Let's keep walking. Yeah, don't misrepresent me, Alex. I'm not saying. I wouldn't be. There are the police, in fact, we can ask them. Sorry, officer. At what point would you consider an intervention for a slug in my house? Yeah, no. Look, if a slug is the size of a person, I can't deny I'm worried, but I don't. I still feel bad calling the old police. I think I'm going to say I'm getting my dad. If it's a person-sized slug, I'm calling my dad. I would say a neighbour, but I don't know the neighbours very well, and this doesn't feel like a good way to start a relationship. But if you imagine a slug, I think if we get to the stage of blocking the doors, I think if I can't get in the toilet because of a slug, I still don't think the police should be involved, but my fingers are going towards the old 999. And if it was significantly bigger than any of the other people, but even then I don't know if I'd call the police. I think if there was a slug in my house so big that it dwarfed the rest of us, I'd just move house. I'd just write the house off as condemned, I think. So I think I'm saying I would not use the police for any slug-related matter, unless we're talking about a violent slug. But I think it's hard to envisage a violent slug, and we all know I'm a person that can imagine things. Whew. Okay, thank you. That was Alex, everyone! Another question from me to you, the audience. Who reckons they can predict a major... stay away from things like wars and relating to Donald Trump, all of that like depressing news things. Who reckons they can predict a major thing that will happen in the next year that none of us knows about at this point?
Leeds United will win the Premiership.
You think so, eh?
Definitely.
Well, that's about as likely as Leicester City winning the Premiership in 2015, which did happen, of course. It can't be ruled out. But if you were to bet £1 on that, you'd probably you'd win. It'd be 1,000 to 1, I reckon. Are you a Leeds fan?
Yeah.
I see. It's an unlikely prediction, but it's within the realms of possibility. For those of you who aren't football fans, Leeds are probably, no offence, the 17th or 18th strongest out of the 20 teams. So they've only just been promoted to the Premier League. It would be an astonishing achievement, but as is not unprecedented, as I say, a similarly unlikely thing has happened in football once in our lifetimes. So yeah, that's the those are the parameters. Who reckons who else would like to predict something which is about a one in a lifetime chance of happening?
Sarah's going to win the Euro Millions.
Sarah can win the Euro Millions. Yeah, well, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's hardly worth predicting. That's a done deal. We'll take one more prediction, I think. I mean, imagine if we'd done this in 2019 and you started talking about a pandemic, and then in about March 2020, when it all kicked off, you think, now hang on a minute. There'd be huge suspicion would fall on the person that had done the pitch in there.
David Attenborough pops off.
I
don't want it.
No, of course you don't want it. For the record, Alex did not say, I hope the eminent naturalist and inspirational figure David Attenborough expires in the next year. He just took a calculation based on the fact that Attenborough is what, 98? No, 99 even. Attenborough's on 99, the most nervous of years. Attenborough's on the verge of something really special here. Did you say death on Earth? Yeah, it's not bad, but I don't like it. Right, I want it to be absolutely clear. I did also see an interview with Attenborough recently in which he used the phrase "the end is near" about his life, but then. He would have been saying that for 25 years now. So let us all, for the absolute avoidance of doubt, wish the absolute best to David Attenborough to maintain the health he has and for his lifespan to extend well beyond 100. I repeat, if anything happens to Attenborough, it is not because of what took place this afternoon. I think just to be absolutely on the safe side, we'll say a prayer for the continued life of David Attenborough. So if you'll just join, all you have to say is amen at the end, or in a minute, I'm going to ask you for slightly more significant involvement. Dear God, do you begin prayers with Dear God? I don't think so. I hope this finds you well. He did used to be in a church. He used to be a churchgoer. I think these days, Almighty God, firstly, thank you for Attenborough. Terrific stuff. While we're at it, thank you for Richard Attenborough. And to a lesser extent, Sting. I'm just thinking if we're giving God credit for some famous people, we might as well. Dara Lumley, and like that, loads more people, God. So thanks for all of those. Thanks for all of us today that are here, and for the, from a lasagna I had yesterday, but it still was God. Anyway, look, David Attenborough was very old, God, and you'll eventually be wanting him back. But can you keep him alive, please, beyond 100? Because imagine what a day of joy it will be on this earth. Does anyone know Attenborough's 100th birthday? How long he's got to? 8th of May, Attenborough. So about 9 months from here, Attenborough. So God, if you could just. That's a strange phrase to use to a divine power, but keep your paws off Attenborough. Just for another 9 months, your divine paws, which have wrought wonders. Thanks, God. See ya. Sorry. Amen. It's easy to forget the amen, and that's the equivalent of pressing send. If you don't say amen at the end, it just stays in your drafts folder. And that is the rarest of moments for me, a joke I could possibly use in real stand-up. 44 minutes in, I've said something of worth. Right, a question caught my eye earlier, which I think is interesting, and just a question of finding it again among this absolute, I'm going to use the phrase, torrent of gibberish. The trouble is sometimes people start answering each other's questions, and then my timeline is out of control. Here we are. Which defunct art form most deserves a comeback, and which undefunct, or just funked, art form? That's the credit is with the person there. Not I didn't come up with that. She or they have written funked in brackets. Which funked art form most deserves to just go away? I think, I don't know if we're calling it an art form, but lip syncing that's enough of that. Lip syncing was fun for about 30 minutes in 2019. Karaoke, fine, but at least learn to sing. But in terms of what art form deserves to come back, I think I'm gonna say, and it's not died out entirely, but you don't see it as much as you should, sea shanties. I think it's really noticeable now if you look at the top downloads and the charts in general. There's very, very little sea shantying going on. And I think it's because the kids nowadays think it's too hard to break into sea shantying. We're not. Because you can only see what you can be, is it? Or be what you can see, or something to do with the BBC. You have to have role models. We'll probably see a generation of Scottish tennis players because of Andy Murray. Before Murray, no Scottish tennis players talk about it. It's the same with sea shanties. If kids don't see good sea shanty work early in their life, and crucially, people think they have to be at sea to make sea shanties, but you don't have to be. You can just be. We've all seen the sea. We can all imagine the sea. And I mean all of us. To prove. Sorry.
Question.
Well, I did say that was the way to ask a question. Yeah, If he's had them for a while, then we're lucky to avoid the old F-bomb. Well, I was just about to launch a sea shanty of my own, but we'll come back to that because it's only fair that I observe the question protocol that I myself put in place.
Do it. I thought you were done.
I must insist, sir. Don't you worry, we're getting a sea shanty. In terms of my sea shanty career, it's very much a question of if not now, when. I think it was always hard to get them into Mock the Week. Yes, but what was your question, nonetheless? And then I'll sort of weigh both of them up, as it were.
You've got 24 hours
Oh,
to,
Christ.
to get a monkey in a barrel. What's your strategy?
To be honest, knowing me, if it is literally 24 hours, we're going to do a show. The sole purpose of which is to get this monkey into the barrel. And the first 23 hours we'll be fanning around asking for advice from people like Jason Donovan. But to get a monkey into a barrel, the barrel is big enough for the monkey to be comfortably in, right?
Well, you've got to source it. You've got to start from scratch. From there.
I haven't even got a monkey or a barrel. Well, this is starting to sound like an unenviable task. So that's where I like didn't take the path of Tim Key. I very nearly said this is going to sound like awful phrase, an unenviable task. Yeah. But by sidestepping the awful phrase clause, I at least kept a little bit of my own DNA. Okay, so I have 24 hours to get a monkey and get a barrel and then put the monkey into the barrel.
Yeah.
But by the way, next time I do a 24-hour show, you're wrong if you think this isn't happening. All right, well, let's talk it through and then we'll have a sea shanty. Classic show, this really, normal stuff. Getting a barrel, not very difficult, I think we can all agree. I mean, I say that as if I'm regularly purchasing barrels, but within the hour, somebody here could get a barrel. I'm sure. You're just looking at. You're just after a barrel maker. If you imagine in your average high street, you go to the butcher, Scott Mid, barrel maker. So maybe it's not within the hour, but somebody could even fashion. I mean, not me, but someone that was handy could probably fashion a sort of a rudimentary barrel. I'd say within a quarter of those 24 hours. But now we come to the thorny issue of the monkey. My experience of getting monkeys is not as easy as you think. There are some fiddly old rules about when you are allowed to have an animal. Although I know you're not allowed to. No, you're not. You can't ride a zebra. There's something like that. You can have a fox as a pet, but you shouldn't. And there's various rules. I don't know if there are any actual prohibitions over owning monkeys, but mind you, we're not owning it, are we? We're borrowing it. It's a performer in a show. Perhaps against its will, but I should say, by the way, I'm going to do this in the most humane way possible. I noticed your question didn't seem to uphold any animal rights standards, and you implied I was just going to force this monkey into the barrel. Quite the opposite. I'm going to talk it in there. I'm going to charm the monkey into the barrel. Because over 24 hours, you could surely, a monkey is virtually a human, you could, I'm sure, teach a monkey to understand English well enough that it would just say, all right, I'll pop in the barrel. The bulk of the 24 hours will be reacclimatising the monkey to speak English like a human. Not all humans. If you're watching in China, keep it, or America, or any of the places where, as I say, I'm looking to break into. I'm just trying to think how I would realistically get a monkey in 24 hours now that you've put this in my head. I suppose the zoo aren't going to just let you have one, are they? Not even on a loan. You're looking for a private monkey owner within Edinburgh or the environs, I suppose. We're not doing this for now, but this is just a thought experiment. Does anyone here reckon they're even 2 degrees of separation away from someone that would own a monkey? What if you brought the barrel to the zoo? I tell you what, mate, I don't mind your brain. The rest of you are just bringing me problems. This guy's bringing solutions. Yes, now you're starting to talk some sense. Exactly as I said, let's get the barrel to the zoo. I know there's an attraction called Monkey World somewhere in the UK. I feel like it might be in Dorset or somewhere quite far from here, but once again, we've got 24 hours, and there'll be closer ones. There'll be a primate-themed place in Scotland, surely. So we've just got to get... Charlie, if you wouldn't mind Googling that. Yeah, we've just got to get, as I've been saying all along, the barrel to the monkey. It's the mountain to Mohammed situation. And then once we're in this place with a barrel, it's very much just a question of... well, it's you said it yourself, softly, softly, catchy monkey. So I suppose it's a bit of the old tiptoeing. And initially, I suppose it's a bit of tiptoe, 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 distract a monkey, slam it on its head. But as I said, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather take a monkey from this place, befriend the monkey, train it up over whatever we've got left, 16, 17 hours, and in the final hour, just ask it to go in the barrel. And in the unlikely event that all of this didn't happen, I suppose you're again, not the nicest phrase, clubbing it. Not dead, just putting it, tranquilising it. I suppose is what I meant. Tranquilising it, using a tranquilizer club. Okay, Charlie's going to ascertain where we go to.
The nearest one's in Brazil.
The nearest one's in Brazil. So there are monkeys in Brazil.
Yeah.
I see. So it's off to the zoo with a barrel, and I start to think we've got time for other challenges within the 24 hours. Right? It's like shooting monkeys in a barrel. It's right. I think it's probably. It's not the smoothest segue, but into the sea shanty we go. Then probably time for one more question that anyone might have here, or one more out of the bucket or something. And I pointed to the bucket there, but it wasn't there. So as I say, just to prove that sea shanties deserve a comeback, I'm going to try and make a sea shanty up, and I'm going to ask you to join. Every fourth line will be, and all this happened on the high seas. Right, that's all you have to do to sing along. Okay. Right. It's actually not that easy to do. Okay. A terrible tale I will relate. Yeah. Of me and some other people. One of them's called Kate. And all this happened when I was 33. And all of it happened on the high seas. Now the voyage was on a terrible night. And the rest of the crew took off in fright. And there was no sign of Timothy Key. And all this happened on the high seas. Now 11 things were on the table, and I will relate them if I am able. But first we must say fiddle-dee-dee. It's not easy. And all this happened on the high seas. It's easy. And from Portsmouth we did set sail. And would I succeed or would I fail? I was shitting it if you must know. And all this happened on the high seas, And I think it was a Thursday, but I really cannot say. I was, hang on, it's a bad idea to sail if you ask me. And all this happened on the high seas. 10 more verses! And this verse is just, all this happened on the high seas. Yes, all this happened on the high seas. It was a terrible thing, it seemed to me, but all this happened on the high seas. Now the captain's name, I think, was John, and I do not know how long I can go on. But John had a problem with his knee, and all this happened on the high seas. Well, all the tale I cannot tell, but the sea, it was as rough as hell. And at one point I was stung by a bee. And of course all this happened on the high seas. Final verse, sing if you know it. But eventually I did come home, and I found my house was made of chrome. And that's just the way things are going to be, because all of it happened on the high seas. Shanty ends. I think you can see what I mean. It's a crying shame we're not producing work of that calibre more regularly. We need to teach sea shanties in schools. We need government question time to be in sea shanties. We just need to be thinking outside the box a bit. If you are watching in China, then hopefully you skip past that bit. One from the bucket, and then it's fuck it, I think, as in it's over, as they say. Have we had this one? Well. I don't actually know if. No, I'm not going to do it. But the question is, what is the weirdest fact you know? But and all of us know sort of peculiar bits of trivia. But as I get older, I quite often sort of doubt myself. I used to know an amazing fact, which is something like there are as many hairs on your head as. But this is the thing. The rest of it's gone. But it makes you think, doesn't it? There was one which I glimpsed as I was ruffling through them, which here it is, yeah. I think this is a suitable note to end on. My work is forcing me to work with and help controversial US spy tech firm Palantir. How can I sabotage them without losing my job? we've tackled a range of problems within this show. I would say this is perhaps the most nerve-wracking one for me to deal with. I'd be amazed if anyone lays claim to this question, but just in case, where are you? There you go. You don't work for a spy tech without at least a level of caution. Fascinating to know what sort of work this person does, that they're being coerced into helping. Presumably a tech firm that spies on you illegally, that harvests people's data and stuff. How can you sabotage a tech firm without losing your job? That's the shame, isn't it? If it was just about a sort of act of like self-immolation, if it was just about walking in to this American firm and saying, I don't know, fuck you, buddy, a hamburger has to still be small enough to get in your mouth, that sort of thing. You can hit the Yanks where it hurts with that sort of roasting. But to do it so discreetly, so I was going to suggest that you just went into work and poured orange juice all over everyone's computer. And I am going to suggest that. But you'll need to avoid losing your job. You're going to need to frame someone else. So get a big thing of orange juice. Obviously wear gloves. Obviously. I assume if you work in the spy game, you'll never not have gloves on. You've got gloves on in the shower, if I know you. Which I don't actually. By the way, remember to take your belts off later. So gloves on. Head down. Big thing of orange juice. Come in early. Fling orange juice over everyone's keyboards. So everyone's computer is not just unusable, but all mucky. The juice you should use is just juice. By which I mean the one that's called just juice, not just juice. And you should use juice with pulp. And you should also drink juice with pulp. I won't be moved on that. We haven't got time though. So everyone's computer is out of commission, and now, and this is fiendish, leave the pitcher of orange juice on someone else's desk. And then, and this is even more fiendish, write a confession note from them. And then send it to your and their boss. But make sure you write it in their handwriting. And then hack into their social media and put a post up that appears to confess, that says something like, I have a terrible compulsion to do something appalling, borderline criminal, with orange juice in the next 24 hours. Then get one of these people that can cheat on the internet to doctor the photo so it appears to have been posted 24 hours ago. Make sure it's not a person you like, because their life will be ruined by this. Fair than that, go around to Palantir and burn the place down. Again, you will lose your job, but it's in the greater good. Thanks for coming. Obviously, don't act on too much of the advice you've had today. Other than the belt thing, I'm deadly serious. Has anyone removed their belt during this? What's the matter with you? Get your belts off. I want to see belts in the air, please. Yeah, belts in. Wave them in the air like your trousers don't care. Yes, belts in the air, the traditional end to any Edinburgh show. Yes, look at this. Look at that belt. Imagine having that belt and taking it off. Look at this belt. This is the level of belt. Extraordinary. If she can take that belt off, anyone can whip their belt off. We should all have our pants around our ankles to judge from that offering. Is that what I want the last sentence of the show to be? I don't think so. Most shows, a significant number of shows at the Monkey Barrel end with something about, like, maybe you paid, maybe you didn't. If you haven't paid, please pay. I'm not interested in any of that. I do not require anything of you. If you did come, though, thanks very much. And let's face it, you did all. What we normally end the YouTube series with is an appeal to viewers to leave comments, subscribe, and the phrase that have come to be common is interact with the content. So after 3, as your last gesture towards helpfulness, and you've been a very helpful crowd, would you please mind saying to everyone, please interact with the content? 1, 2, 3. Please interact with the content. You've been watching the inaugural live Yes, How Can I Help? A round of applause for Alex Preston, as always. I was Mark Watson. I have solved as many problems as I could. Thank you very much. You've been great. I imagine we'll repeat this experiment at some point, but in the meantime, there are, as I say, 30-odd episodes of this. I mean, it's not quite like this, obviously, but you can find them all on YouTube. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your friends.